Well, what's up, everybody? This is Landon Medina here with Connections, brought to you from the Connection Center. Thank you, Beacon Hill Cheyenne, for the incredible space. We got our main man, Tom Mowry of Cheyenne Video, on the controls here, who's producing this tonight. And we are joined by a couple very important people in the community. And I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and you'll see why.
Hey everyone, thank you Landon for
Yeah.
having us here. I'm Taylor Albert, I'm the Executive Director at Needs Inc. Food Pantry, and this is my main development man.
I'm Dave Cook, and I'm not the important one. I think that's
whatever.
that's these guys over here.
Well, I always tell people if we're all trying to build a car and you're a wheel, the best wheel you
Right.
can be.
There it is.
Obviously, she thinks you're a good one, or you wouldn't be here.
Well,
Agreed.
appreciate that.
So it was Richard Johnson that connected us. Right?
Yeah, it was.
So he came in and sat and watched one of our podcasts with the Rooted in Cheyenne. So
They're doing awesome work. We actually have a tree out front of Needs that is because of them. So
no
we
way.
appreciate everything they're doing, and Richard Johnson's been fantastic for us, especially with the cooler replacement that we were going after. He was a huge supporter.
So tell me about that. Tell me about that goal and.
Yeah, so I actually started this year in July, mid-pandemic, which was really a cool thing to witness. We're undergoing a lot of changes, and my pantry supervisor, who is amazing, brought to my attention that our cooler currently has a bunch of cracks in it, which is really difficult when you're trying to keep food at a safe temperature. So we've been hobbling it along with a lot of really awesome businesses in Cheyenne support. Because I am actually not an expert cooler maintainer. Yeah, not my strong suit.
Nope.
But
Me neither.
right?
I know, I'm
Everyone
surprised.
has a skill. That's not ours. And so what it came down to is we had 3 different estimates come in that said you have about 5 months to 5 years, and we can't tell you when it's going to give out.
Oh man.
It's just a lot of strain
What
to
a
put on a
time frame.
system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And that was right when you started.
yes,
One of the first big news.
yes, yes.
Good.
It was good. It was good. But it was really awesome because it was one of those things where you just know you have to act and there's not a lot of choice, and you do, and we did. And with Richard Johnson, a lot of community members really stepping up. We've had businesses like Quality Electric jump in with us, as well
That's a
as
big
CV
company.
Services. Yes, and they've just been so supportive.
Yeah.
And they have made it possible. And because we had so much community support and an awesome grant writer like Dave, we were actually fully funded by the Casper Housing Authority's CARES funding for $100,000 last week, which was, I literally ran through the building. It wasn't
Oh yeah.
a shining moment for me, but I ran through the building running around with my phone and the email. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
Dude, that's some breathing room for you and the team.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We're excited. We're really excited. And our current cooler is 20 years old. So the cool thing is every dollar that went towards that cooler is an investment in our community for several decades. That's
That's crazy.
a once in a lifetime opportunity that I think our team had to do.
Oh,
So,
right, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have, it seems like a bunch of community support. Why? What do you do that makes people rally so hard around you?
I want to say it's us. I really do, Landon. But I think Cheyenne just jumps in fully every time that the call is put out. I've never seen Cheyenne not,
Not
Jump in.
answer the call.
Yep. especially through everything that's happening the past several months. It's been really cool to watch, and we're a military family, so we graduated from East High, go Thunderbirds. But we were born and raised here, but then to be military, go to a different community, and kind of realize how much you take it for granted, what a
Yeah.
cool community this is.
Yeah.
It's been very humbling to come back to that. So we're really glad to be back.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
So what does Needs do?
Do you want to answer that? I feel like I'm.
Yeah, sure. So Needs was founded almost 50 years ago with the concept of just bringing the community together, making the connections, and kind of being that resource to show the people that need items or needs items or support, where they could get it and how they could get it.
Okay.
So over the last 50 years, it's sort of developed, or near 50 years, it's developed into a major food pantry as well as a clothing support, food distribution in some instances, as well as a really low price thrift store. So, which the food pantry is the biggest and primary mission, obviously with the cooler. And because I'm actually very new to Needs, I started running a lot of the numbers, and it has been pretty humbling to see the amount of or the increase in demand since COVID started.
People that would normally never have walked through that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's the economic impact from the pandemic is really just running rampant through the community, and we're trying to be there to be able to have that 20-year, another 50-year sustainment for the community in regards to providing support, as well as meeting the immediate unbudgeted needs. So one of the things that I'd noticed, if you just look at poundage of food from what Needs distributed in March versus what Needs distributed in December. So the first month of the pandemic, which really March was pretty mild here in Cheyenne, minus the food rush on the stores and the toilet paper, right? And you take that all to December, the actual increase for poundage of food that we distributed at Needs increased 370%.
Whoa!
Like 370% increase in poundage of food distributed out.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Oh, it is. And so
heartbreaking.
the actual individuals served increased 160%. And so it's just, and so we are continuing on to try to make sure that with that unprecedented increase in the demand for services, and it's not like it's a luxury item. Food is not this. Oh, I think I'll just go without it today and the next week. When we have those kind of increases, that's what we're trying to prepare for, because it has not shown any signs of decreasing since the beginning of the pandemic, and so we're prepping for how do we financially secure and how do we frame needs for 2021.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so that's sort of the
we're not out of it. In
no.
2020.
Oh no.
Like 20.
It'd be nice.
Oh yeah.
It
No.
would
Very
be
nice.
I hear that it's going to be over in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like 3 days, right? So
As soon as that ball drops,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that mask is
That's a
going.
wrap.
right. Yeah. So the primary mission is obviously food, and so it's not just food for Cheyenne. Taylor, when she got here and during the pandemic, she started the outreach to Burns and Albin.
Okay.
And so now there's weekly trips out to Burns and Albin, just trying to, because if you're economically impacted by the pandemic, that 100-mile round trip from Albin to Cheyenne
Oh yeah.
is
Just for a meal.
just for a meal,
Right.
and then you have to do it weekly. That's potentially a 1 to 2 to 3 tanks of gas that you don't want to have to spend when
So
you're already.
do you guys have connections in those towns that
Yeah.
that you're working with really well?
So 2 things. A, it was a really good idea. Unfortunately, it was not
It
mine.
was before.
It was Cliff Cox and Tom Taylor, who at the time were the board president and vice president.
They give credit. The credit.
Well, they did some really great things. And they actually are the ones who, without any connections, went into those communities and found them.
Okay.
And then those communities answered the call as well, and created a volunteer force. So we drop off the food, but
Yeah.
then Burns and Albin have community centers where volunteers once a week show up and separate out the food for people to pick up.
Yeah.
It is amazing to see. And as we've gotten deeper and deeper, further and further into the pandemic, more and more people have answered that call. And before it was kind of a lot for us to drop off all the food, and now we don't even have to touch a box that we drop off because there's so many volunteers jumping in, which is so cool. That's such a cool thing to witness.
Yeah.
The change in. So it's actually the Burns mayor. There's a really good community in Albin that
He's
just
in connections. With,
Yeah.
He's supposed to be involved.
amazing,
That's
amazing
awesome.
work they're doing, because we just don't have the manpower to really do the distribution there. And so without that, it's not possible. It really isn't.
So how can we help you? I know we're acquiring a following pretty quickly here in town. But okay, so donations obviously
Right.
is the number one thing that we can do. But if some of our people are struggling just like that, what are some other ways that we can help?
I think the biggest one that is $0, it's free 99.
Free 99. That's my favorite.
Right? Is word of mouth. And we really want to let people know that the services we provide, we have things like our produce boxes that you don't even have to say hello to us. They're in our lobby as we get them, and you can grab one.
Yep.
You don't have to have that feeling of explaining yourself.
So you can have that discretion.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. We also have
And is that just with the sorry for interrupting.
No,
is that
please
just with
do.
the produce boxes? I just want to see what some of our people could see, because
absolutely.
pride is something
Yeah.
that's
Sure.
big in human nature, and to someone who's never been in that circumstance.
I'm glad you go ahead.
And if I may, the
Yeah.
produce box is a massive box of food. I mean, it's
Right.
potentially 10 pounds of food of just actually
Perishable items.
perishable items. It's about 34 pounds of food if that we try to get out there, and that's simply somebody would just need to walk in and say, "Hey, do you have any produce boxes available?" And the front, the receptionist will either say yes or no, and then kind of point them in that direction, and they can come and grab it and they can leave.
That's awesome.
So the produce box was created again by Cliff Cox and Tom Taylor as a way to meet those people who have never had to access a food
Right.
pantry services. We also have commodities food box, which is provided by Food Bank of the Rockies, and you only need a valid photo ID, and income is self-declared, so we don't ask questions. And a lot of people feel like, well, my last year taxes were X, I don't qualify, and that's not the case. We really are trying to meet people where they're at. A new creation from our pantry supervisor is something called the walking bag. It's for people who don't have the means to store or cook food. So mostly people
Ooh.
experiencing homelessness,
Yeah.
because you can hand them a full uncooked ham, but that doesn't help their situation in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So there's like Chef Boy RD, the pop tops. So you don't need a can opener. You don't need a extensive kitchen to deal with these items. And so we're giving those out. We've partnered with the Cheyenne Police Department for those as well, so that when they experience or they meet someone who's experiencing homelessness, they can put food right in their hands, because transportation's an issue, right? So we're really trying to address those things and meet people where they're at, and I think that's the biggest change that we've experienced since March, is trying to meet people where they're at. We also have a food box that is income verified, and that has more like your eggs, your milk, butter. We try to put the staple items in there.
So there's one. So you got a pickup location here in Cheyenne.
Yep.
And I'm just spitballing ideas here. What if there were a couple other locations where people could come in and pick up boxes of food? Like I'm not saying that we could have them here, but if we had a couple boxes here at the Connection Center, we could be like, look, this is a needs outreach little
Absolutely.
pickup point or something. If you
Based on the direction of my board, who are fantastic people, and have really stepped up to the call of things changing so quickly. In the next 10 years, we hope to open a mobile food pantry where we can go to locations, but we're always open to the conversation of partnering with people. Cheyenne Police Department approached us. We're also starting to work with the local hospital
awesome.
to see if we can partner there as well. So we're working on that. We also have amazing, not like, I don't want to say official partnerships, but St. Joseph's Food Pantry is wonderful. Element Church has a weekend food pantry, which we aren't open on the weekend, so that's an awesome opportunity. There's several others. Those are just the two that we work with probably the most closely. And I do think it takes a village. It takes all of us chipping in, and I think that's important.
And then we also have it where there's I'm not gonna not to name names out there, but there's nonprofits that also support the community that need food or a food pantry for the people they serve.
Yeah.
And so what we have done is we've allowed them basically to come into our kind of free to give away type stuff that's been donated without restriction, to make sure that the people that they are serving have a full pantry and a full set of food. And so there's multiple nonprofits around town that we support in that capacity in a very discreet kind of way.
Right, which is awesome. I think the power of collaboration is key.
Absolutely.
And why I ask about those locations, I know that we're trying to set up to where we have drop-off locations for like canned goods, coats, and old toys, and we're gonna do them with our connections businesses throughout town. So
Okay.
hopefully, if we, are smart about it, we can stage them to where we have one, in every little part of town. So that's why I was saying if there was
Absolutely.
something, and maybe we can get those donations to you guys or something. But I would like. Seems like you guys have a great service to offer.
Well,
Hopefully we can help.
Yeah, and that kind of help is definitely what keeps us going. I mean, as Taylor had mentioned, some of like the monthly food box has this income restriction to it. But what she's made happen is that if somebody walks through our door, they're going to walk away with food.
Which is awesome.
And so we are definitely trying to make sure that those, we serve our community as a whole. And so those donations that we do receive, whether it's in food or coats or anything of that nature, especially when they come without the big HUD government restrictions potentially, that allows us to find those case-by-case needs and just hand it to somebody.
Yeah.
I think I'd heard a story when I first started, there was a family that had a health issue within their family, and their insurance shot up to the paying health insurance of almost $3,600 a month, but they were making $4,000 a month. So they were above the poverty line. And you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound very, like a very good situation to be in. And so by having those donations that come from the community, we can then give unrestricted to those families and say, hey, here you go, feed your family, take care of yourself. And we want to be there.
Because they say, I don't know the exact percentage of it. It's pretty high on the percentage of Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
COVID hits.
Yeah.
You get COVID, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yep.
You might
Oh,
lose
yeah.
2 paychecks.
And that's been the big thing. People think that job loss is the thing affecting our community right now. It's that 2-week quarantine
Yeah.
for people who are on an hourly salary, or if you run your own business. I mean, that is no income for 14 days.
Yeah.
And when you're living on a budget, or you are living even very thoughtfully, that disrupts that plan.
Or even if you, even if you are doing stuff right, life has a way of coming.
Absolutely.
And it always seems to kick you when you're down. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things that could contribute to you needing a service like this.
One of the most humbling things I've had happen in the past 2 weeks is I've had 4 different individuals who are business owners in our community say, usually I'm at the donation door, because we have a door on our south-facing wall that is for donations, and then our main door is that would be east-facing. When you walk through that door, you're asking for services. I've had 4 different individuals say I've never walked through that door. Yep. And I think it's one of those things that we have to keep in mind, that especially in a world that is throwing so many curveballs at us right now, you don't know. You don't know where it's going to be or what's going to be changing. And we have to show up in any way that we can. You asked earlier what people can do. We're looking for volunteers to sort donations. We're looking for...
Dasbog, the manager at Dasbog, she's always looking for stuff for her employees.
She's
to do to help
wonderful.
the community. So
She's been really wonderful in financial support for us as well. They are a really great company. So
man, I think you guys have a great service that you guys offer. I really like how you guys are being, because I'm sure you guys see people who are, you guys absolutely see the people who are struggling, but
Yeah.
your discretion about it is cool. We've all been in that struggle at some point. You know what I mean? And I think life is this, so
Yeah.
it's a matter of time before you're up on one of them highs and one of those lows.
there's one of those Facebook memes that it's like what people think success is.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's more like...
Oh man.
And on the other side of that, we just had a donor come in to donate to the walk-in cooler freezer, and they used to be a client, and they are thriving right now. And it was just really cool to meet them and talk to them on a different side of their coin.
At the
yes,
other door.
absolutely,
Yeah.
really cool. So that's a good way to put it. We'll meet you at the other door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Glad you came in this door. Look forward to seeing you at that door.
Yep,
Oh man,
absolutely.
you guys, that's really, really cool.
We're trying. You can ask Dave. I get kind of cantankerous sometimes because I love working the front desk. I love being a part of it, but it takes an emotional toll on you.
Oh,
It's a more human level.
I could never do it. I'm telling you, I couldn't be a police officer. I couldn't be like
Yeah.
EMT.
There's some things we shouldn't do, and we're not going to do
Oh
those.
yeah, no. I'm glad we're on
Yeah.
the same. We'll get along just fine.
We'll leave that to the professionals.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I love how smooth this podcast is flowing. This is, it's really cool. You guys have a passion about your craft, and it's really awesome. How long have we been going now?
Let's see.
And it's like, are we done?
No.
Let's
Okay,
leave the
wait.
building.
What's your guess? How long is? Oh well, you just checked your clock.
Oh, 15 minutes.
33:04.
Oh.
But that's when I started. I mean, that's so 7 minutes ahead. So 20,
25.
25.
See, I think the
Goes fast.
conversations. That's what people get scared when they come in here and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Don't worry.
I don't know that that's an issue with me.
No.
I'm pretty talkative.
So, 2021 in needs, I guess, for the next couple years. I mean, what's your guys's, besides expanding your inventory and your volunteers, is there any other big plans that you guys have in the making, or just kind of catch your breath and get through this virus?
I think it would be really awesome if catching our breath was an option.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it is. I feel like Dave and I both discuss all the time. We have an obligation to make sure that needs is around for the next 50 years. Hopefully there's no more pandemics in our future.
Yeah.
But we need to make sure that we're prepared as a community, and making needs last through the next 50 years plus some would be awesome. And that's where we're headed. So a lot of building maintenance. We're doing some pretty big upgrades to the facility to make sure that it can physically withstand. Absolutely. And then we're also looking at partnerships with nonprofit organizations to make sure that they can sustain the next 50 years with us. It's a really important goal, I think, for Dave and I.
Congratulations, that's awesome. How many more people are on your inner team?
We have 6 employees.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is, obviously the COVID kind of ruined the volunteer aspect of it, but I think we're trying to ramp that back up. We've got those safety protocols, but we operate on 6. When one person is out doing, when our pantry director is out in the community picking up supplies, and then his assistant is out then going to Albin or Burns, then we're looking obviously at 4. And so it's essentially, we are a team that just sort of works to make everything keep flowing. And even though, as Taylor's pointed out, I'm helping with the development side of it, I still, I'm called into the pantry to help, fill a box. And there's nothing more humbling and rewarding than walking around the corner with a cart for a family full of food, potentially a hollow meal, and just seeing that fear just kind of run off of them. And so it's totally worth it to work in that capacity, and more people would be nice, but we're trying to also be fiscally smart.
Right.
And so it's.
I think that was one of the first conversations Dave and I had when we were discussing him joining our team, is that I'm very protective of our team, and everyone on our team works very hard, and Dave has he got the memo, and he's been killing it. He's
That's
just been
perfect.
a wonderful addition, and every single one of our team members is every time I say it, I'm like, they're the hardest working person I know. I'm like, but they're the hardest working person I know. It's really cool. I've never worked with such a go get it, make it happen, no matter what the circumstances are.
That
kind of
says something about their leader.
Oh, I wish it did, but I think that that's something you can't provide for people. You either have that or you don't. That passion to serve your community,
Yeah.
and they have